Hello everyone and welcome to this review and analysis of the 70th anniversary Grand Prix presented in Silverstone for the second week in a row. We had quite a crazy race, with the first stop taking place as early as lap 7 for Alex Albon, softer tire than last week, and finally a win by Max Verstappen unexpectedly in front of the two Mercedes who struggled with their tires throughout the race. We also find a Valtteri Bottas pretty disappointed after starting from pole and getting the short end of the stick with his team strategy finishing third. We also saw some amazing strategy and move, including some by Charles Leclerc and Alex Albon, finishing respectively 4th and 5th when they did not expect it. Now it's time to take a look at the winners and losers of the 70th anniversary Grand Prix, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Now let's start by looking at the winners, and obviously we have to start with Red Bull. They knew coming into this weekend that they were podium contenders. A different strategy and favorable weather condition played in their favor, giving Max Verstappen his first victory of the season. Verstappen, the only driver to start on the hard tire, had an incredible first stint where he was able to match the pace of the Mercedes on the medium. When the pit stop arrived, he was faster than everyone on the medium and, from that point, only had to mimic what Mercedes was doing to make sure he stayed in front. His teammate, Alex Albon, starting 9th, also had a pretty good race, finishing 5th and showing incredible pace at the end of the race, passing the 2 racing points in the closing laps and getting a very respectable result that should help relieve a bit of pressure, finishing 5th. And again, congratulations on Max Verstappen, finally giving us a new winner this season. This could be interesting for the upcoming weeks. I give Red Bull this week a 9 out of 10. Racing Point. Eventful weekend for Racing Point in every possible way. Even though they got unlucky at the end of the race, losing pace and struggling on their tire and finishing 6th and 7th, Racing Point did a pretty good job overall all weekend. Hülkenberg, only at his second weekend with the team, qualifying 3rd, was already a miracle by itself, and is worth mention, of course. He finished behind Stroll, but he also got an unexpected 3-stop strategy when Albon was catching up, and I guess they just tried to make up for it on the soft tire. I would not see this as a Stroll preferential treatment, but more of a way of showing they think that Hülkenberg this weekend was the one of the 2 drivers who had a chance to climb back if we tried something different. After getting this penalty from the FIA at the beginning of the weekend, they will be happy to bring home some point, and I give them a 7.5 out of 10. Our last winners from this week, Ferrari. Both drivers were in different worlds at Silverstone, but after an average quali, they knew their only chance was to try something different. Charles Leclerc was simply amazing, able to convert this race into a single-stop strategy, one of only 3 drivers to do so, and make those hard tires run 34 laps, knowing that they could give up at any time. 4th place for the Frenchman will make Ferrari super happy. Vettel, on the other hand, struggled again this weekend, spinning right from the start by himself on the opening lap and putting himself at the back of the pack. From there, it was only about saving his honor, if he had any left this weekend. We can argue about that. In the end, he could not get any higher than 12th, 1 place behind where he started. So a weekend to forget for Sebastian, who probably does not even know where his future lies at this point. 7 out of 10 for Ferrari. Now onto our passing grades, starting with AlphaTauri. Gasly had a great quali and Kvyat started at the back. In the end, they joined somewhere in the middle, finishing 10th for Daniel and 11th for Pierre, bringing home 1 little point when their pace seemed so promising since last week. It's not a bad result, circumstances only played against them, with Albon charging through the field and Ocon and Norris having faster cars overall. It is not what they expected. They will be slightly disappointed, but at the very least, they did not fall back. They are pretty much where they belong. so it's not a disaster. I give them this week a 6.5 out of 10. Alfa Romeo. Boy, am I glad to not talk about losers for Alfa Romeo this week. After an awful quali, the Italian team was able to at least look a bit more respectable during the race. Kimi Raikkonen showed all of his driving skills and experience by completing the race with only one pit stop and taking 15th place. Giovinazzi got the best of the two Williams. Obviously, that's not where they want to be, finishing 15th and 17th, but at least it's a small victory for a team that just looked so awful this year. They were able to do something during the race by going different and just trying something. So they can go on with a smile and just try to improve for next week, giving Alfa Romeo a 6 out of 10. Renault. Sad result for the French team today. Ricciardo, who looked so good last week and Saturday in quali, could not make his tire work during the race and got unfortunately spun on lap 31, sending him back. I am giving Renault a passing grade because of Esteban Ocon. 8th place at the end, who did a great job to manage his tires and complete a one-stop strategy, one of only 3 drivers to do so, confirming what we've seen for the last few weeks, that he is finally starting to understand this car and get better with it. So it's a promising performance for the Frenchman, who will be for the team again next year. So thanks to him, I'm giving Renault this week a 6 out of 10. Haas. I hesitated for a while before putting Haas in the passing grades. I thought of putting them in the losers. But hear me out and we can argue in the comments. After a nice quali, with Grosjean able to get the best of the car and starting 13th, they tried to hold their ground the best as they could in this crazy race, knowing that some big guns would be coming from the back and trying to get the best out of them. They were in the backfield fight all the race, getting the best of the Alfa Romeo, of Antonio Giovinazzi and of both Williams. Sadly, Magnussen could not finish the race and retired on lap 46, but Grosjean did come home 16th. So I give them this passing grade thanks to Grosjean's qualifying, but I am ready to argue if you want, and just leave a comment and we can talk about it a bit more. Giving Haas this week a 6 out of 10. Now it's time to talk about our losers for this week, starting with Mercedes. Now, this may be a bit harsh, but after the absolute dominating pace that they've shown last week at the same track, there was no reason for the championship's leader to show any sign of fatigue. But we've been proven wrong, and this race actually confirms some suspicions we've had since Austria that the Mercedes car struggles under warm track conditions. Their pace was never there during the race, easily being matched by Verstappen on harder compound and unable to avoid losing the lead. Then we have to mention their race strategy. Obviously, during this race, Bottas should have had the strategy choice or advantage in this race since he was in front, but it all looks like he was sacrificed for Hamilton, who did his second stop a lot later and was able to fly past Bottas at the end of the race, putting him second and Bottas third, increasing the driver championship point difference. Bottas, who just got his contract renewed and who was happy with his pole position, did not look like a happy man on the podium. While it is almost certain that a Mercedes driver will win the championship already, we would expect fair treatment from the team, but it didn't get it, and that's not something new either. We've seen it in the past few years also. I'm giving Mercedes this weekend a 5.5 out of 10. McLaren. They knew it was going to be a tough weekend again, and it was. From 10th and 12th at the start, neither driver was able to make up some ground, Norris getting 9th and Sainz 13th. They didn't do anything wrong. There's not much to say about McLaren this week. I think it's just one of those weekends where the track doesn't really suit your car and you will just try to bounce back next week in Barcelona. So overall, they did the job and that's the best that they could do. 5 out of 10 for McLaren. And finally, Williams. Sadly this week I have to put them as one of the losers. Not because they performed badly overall, but because this week's just shown a lack of improvement and a bit of a setback. Russell got his usual Q2 and 15th place, Latifi 18th in front of the Alfa Romeos, but the race was just bad for them. Forced to go on a 3-stop strategy, they finished last in the standing, Russell 18 and Latifi 19, and they were probably not expecting much already, but they need to do better, and if they want to go back to passing grades and maybe even winners, they need to go back to the result that they had in the previous weeks where they could really fight among that backfield. So for Williams, it is a 5 out of 10. That's it, folks. Thank you for watching. Please smash the like button and subscribe to this channel. I will see you again next week at Barcelona for the Spanish Grand Prix. Hope you enjoyed it. Take care.